Welcome to the Send More Offers Real Estate Show with Brandon Barnes, showing you how to do wholesaling deals consistently without having to go on seller appointments. Learn the key tips and strategies that Brandon's students use to find deeply discounted properties that are pennies on the dollar, all while avoiding wear and tear on their vehicle, body, and freedom. Whether you're looking for your first deal or your next deal, it's time to send more offers with your host, Brandon Barnes.
Welcome to the show, Mamadou, man. I'm super excited to have you here.
Thank you, bro. Thank you for having me. Super humbled to be here.
Yeah, look, I know we talked a bit after the Pace and Jamil book tour here in Atlanta.
Yes,
and I was like, I gotta get this guy on the show. Such an amazing story and doing deals from overseas, specifically where? Belgium to, now coming to the U.S., to Atlanta to really be here, boots on the ground, your own boots on the ground is amazing. Yeah. How the heck were you able to do deals from Belgium in the U.S.?
Yeah, actually, I didn't do deals in Belgium. I discovered wholesaling in Belgium.
Okay.
I was at my 9 to 5. It was on a lunch break. I used to be a commercial agent for the European high-speed trains. Right. And so, but I've always been entrepreneurial. So I owned businesses on the side. So I would work from 5 a.m. to 3 p.m. And then after 3, I have like a car business that I go to. And we used to wrap cars, like those like luxury vinyl paint that you see these Hollywood folks run around with. I used to own a business like that. And so I was looking for a new warehouse to rent for it. And a random YouTube video popped up on my feed. And it was this guy, his name is Mark from Baltimore. He was on the Breakfast Club talking about wholesaling real estate. And the title kind of got me because he said something like made $800,000 in my mom's basement.
Yeah.
Right. So I just listened to it quickly. Right. So I was listening to it. And then he was talking about this concept of just putting things on the contract and flipping the paper. I was like, what? So it's, I got into this rabbit hole of, okay, I finished my job at 3. Went back home and started searching more and more. Then I ran into videos of Max Maxwell. I ran into some of your videos, some videos of Nasser from North Carolina, I think he is. And man, I just couldn't stop watching it. And I was like, whoa. I called my little brother from Marseille, and I told him, bro, I always wanted to do real estate in Belgium. I just couldn't because the only options you have is either be a property manager, mostly, or be a licensed agent working on commission, which is a job, right? They're not investors in real estate. And so I was never interested in that, right? And so I called my little brother. I'm like, dude, I'm quitting my job in 6 months. Like, I'm going to do this. And I sent him the video. Obviously, my little brother don't even speak English like I do. So he was like, dude, I don't know what this is, but you're crazy. So you're going to quit your job for something that you found on YouTube. But he was like, listen, I support you. I know you've always been entrepreneurial. So if you say you're going to do something, you're going to do it. I called my brothers here in the US. I told them I'm coming to vacation, but they didn't know my plan. So, dude, long story short, came in 2019 and they never see me go back.
Man, that's super dope. So you were just like, burn the boats. I'm not going back. I'm staying in the US. So where did you start, right? Now you're here. You know about all this wholesaling stuff. I'm sure you know about creative finance and subject to. How did you pick what your first move was going to be and what you were going to go after?
So at the time, the only thing I knew is about wholesaling. So one concept that kept coming up when I was listening to all these podcasts is jump in your car, drive around and find ugly houses and call these sellers.
Yeah.
That's it. Now, I'm a school dropout, so I don't overthink stuff. Like I didn't even finish high school. And so for me, if you tell me do A, my dad always taught me do A, and then if you run into a problem, come back and ask me how to do B, right? So that's how I've been throughout my whole life. So when I came here, I knew the concept of, hey, you need to drive around, find ugly houses, and then you have to call the sellers and see if you can put it on the contract. Mind you, I was a commercial agent back then. I wasn't a sales agent, so I don't have the sales background, right? So when I came, here's what I decided to do. I said, you know what? What is going to make me steal? Because I just went through a divorce. My now 3-year-old daughter was about to be born. She wasn't even born yet, right? And so I got to keep bringing income, but I don't want a 9 to 5 because then they control my time.
Yeah.
So what I decided to do, I was like, you know what? I can do Uber and Lyft, generate income while I drive for dollars. Because every single time I drop off a customer, I can just drive around in that neighborhood and find ugly houses, right? That was the concept to me. So I didn't overthink this stuff. And also one thing my dad taught me at a very young age, he always taught me to not have 3 different teachers. Because he said you will end up being confused. If you come to me and you ask me for something, and then you go to my little brother, you ask him for the same advice, he's going to tell you something different. You ask the third person, so now you end up being confused. So what I decided to do is to focus on one person. And that person to me for wholesaling real estate was Max Maxwell. Why? Because he kept it really simple, dumb it down, not complicating it. And so I could follow his advice and I blocked every other noise, right? And so I just started driving Uber and Lyft. And then I was driving for dollars every single time I'll drop off somebody. I'll drive for dollars, find ugly houses. And then I'll call with a script that I found online. I remember at the time, I just found like a 10-line script and I was just following it. And my goal at first was to be able to keep a seller for 5 minutes on the call because I didn't have any sales back. I didn't even know what a granite countertop were. So I was just like finessing it, you know? But you know, I've learned like my English is self-taught. I remember how I learned English is I would print out like Tupac and 50 Cent's lyrics and I'll translate it at the refugee camp, 4 sentences a day. And then I would practice it with my friends. So I just use that same thing for wholesaling. It's like, okay, I got these 10 lines. Let me practice this with sellers on the phone. And then once I get good at it, then I'll start, you know what I mean? So what I used to do is I'll just drive for dollars. This is how I got my first 3 deals doing the strategy.
That's amazing. And shout out to Max. Look, and he also had the biggest microphone because he was absolutely crushing it on YouTube. And having one coach is very, very important. I mean, if you do continue to, you know, focus on like finding this in YouTube University, you will get distracted and confused. So going after that one type of deal, that makes a lot of sense. So those very first few deals that you did driving for dollars for, did you just, you know, was it a simple cash transaction? I know that you do a lot of subject to seller finance now. Is that just the first wave and then you graduated from there?
Yeah. So the first one was a cash. The first one. And it's funny because, you know, again, I stopped listening to music and in my car, I would only listen to podcasts. And one of these podcasts I was listening to, it was on Bigger Pockets and I don't know who was there. And he was talking about the 3 feet rule. And he said, hey, if somebody is 3 feet away from you, make sure they don't leave before knowing what you do in life because it's a potential referral, right? And so I decided that day that I'm going to adopt that rule in my car. So if you order me as a Lyft driver, I'm going to pick you up. I'm going to spark a conversation by asking about you first, right? And my goal was at the end of it for you to ask me, why am I driving Uber? What am I doing here? Where's my accent from? Right? And I will spark a real estate conversation. But at the time, I was smart enough, Brandon, to every time I would walk a property, even if it ended up not being a deal, I would record myself. And so what I decided to do is before you leave my car as a client, you will know that I'm in real estate and I will ask you if you know anybody in this area where I'm dropping you off that is looking to sell because we do pay referrals. And so I would show them on the phone that, yes, I'm indeed in real estate. I'm not making it up because otherwise people are like, oh yeah, you drive in Uber and Lyft and you do real estate. What? So I had the proof, right, in my phone, right? And so that rule, dude, got me my first deal. How that happened is I picked up somebody at BWI Airport. This is Baltimore. This is where I used to live, Maryland. And I picked him up, dropped him off like 10 minutes away. Practice the same rule. So I asked him about him first. Like people, you got to care about them first. People don't like, you know what I mean? And then after that is the law of reciprocity, right? Now they want to ask you about you, right? So I arrived at the destination and I was like, hey, do you know anybody here that's looking to sell the same spiel? And we do pay referrals. He's like, oh yeah, you know what? If you drive straight right now, not the first right, but the second right on your left, that property has been vacant for 2 years. I know the neighbor, but I don't know him personally. But that house has been vacant for 2 years. We'd be more than happy to have somebody renovate it, right? Because the neighborhood looked good, right? I was like, okay, boom. Up to this day, I'm looking for this guy because I regret not taking his number because he didn't give me his number, right?
So he didn't get the referral.
Yeah, he didn't get the referral fee. Bro, I went there. I didn't overthink it. Again, go back into not overthink it, right? Because I'm a monkey see, monkey do. I parked my car and, you know, back then I used to use Google Voice number to call, right? I parked my car, saw the property. I went on truepeoplesearch.com. Right there in my car, pulled up the address, found the number, called the guy on the spot. And I couldn't get hold of him. And so I went through, you know how truepeoplesearch.com give you potential family members? I went through each and every one of them that have the same last name. I ended up finding his daughter. His daughter gave me, not his number, but he was actually living with her now. What happened to this guy is he used to be a general contractor and he fell and he broke his back and now he was disabled. And so he's been out of this house for 2 years, been at the hospital, haven't paid the mortgage for 2 years. So now he lives with his daughter and disconnected all his numbers because the bank is looking for him. And dude, his line was like, dude, if you can do anything with it and I don't have to talk to the bank, it's your house. You can have it. Like he didn't have to say it. I was like, mind you, I was new, so I didn't know what to do, right? So what I decided to do, I said, listen, you won't have to talk to the bank. I don't know what I'm doing right now, but I'll bring my partner and we'll see how we can offer a solution, right? I went on Facebook, bro, like the wholesaling groups of Baltimore. I went there and I just say, hey guys, I need help. I have a hot lead, but I don't know what I'm doing. Somebody else, it's funny because his name is Brandon, but Brandon Dukes.
Okay.
He reached out. He was like, hey, I've done a couple of wholesales. I might be able to help. So we hopped on a 3-way with the seller. The seller's name was John. And it ended up being a deal. We ended up doing what is called an LLC assignment. So we did a short sale. And dude, we made $68,000 assigning that.
Sheesh. You gotta get one of those. Like, that's amazing. In the very first clip.
Bro.
Dang.
And mind you, I come from a corporate job in Belgium where I'm making 30,000 euros per year.
Jeez. That's wild.
And for Belgium, European standards, I was well paid. Like I dressed up well, always suit and tie. I can afford a Starbucks and look around and walk around and look handsome. You know what I mean? But like I was like, you kidding me? Right. You kidding me? Right? Yeah. $68,000, bro. That changed my life for like ever. That was the beginning of everything else.
What I know some folks will want to know, just a little bit more detail on this is give us a timeline, right? So you hear about wholesaling in Belgium, you come to the US, you're in Baltimore for how long?
Baltimore, I've stayed in Baltimore probably since 2019, like throughout the whole shutdown. So probably 3 years. Yeah,
3 years.
As soon as I came and started wholesaling, I think a few months later, this COVID thing started,
Dang.
So
I was that very first deal, how long did it take you driving for dollars till you finally ran across this lead?
Yeah, it was not easy, guys. It took me 8 months of hard work.
Woof.
8 months of consecutive contracts falling through out of escrow, not deals, getting frustrated, wanting to give up, crying in my Uber. You know what I'm telling you, man? Like a lot of late nights. And I used to like cold call from my passenger seat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, but the thing is, I have that true entrepreneurial mindset in my spirit. It's just in me. There's no way I was going back to punching a clock. So for me, I knew is either, so I discovered it on YouTube. So for me, is either I'm going to prove it's fake or it's real, because my brothers couldn't believe it because they've been here in the US their whole life. They've studied university here. Wow. They've been here their whole life and they've been seeing this, like, we buy houses, cash signs. One of my older brothers, the oldest, he go, there's no way. These people are filthy rich. I've been seeing this sign my whole life. You're crazy. Like what? Next you want to try to be an astronaut? But then he was like, you know what? Okay, great. Then shut up and go prove the concept. Because I don't believe in this stuff. This has to be a scam, right? So for me, it was like, okay, grind it out. Prove the concept, get that first check. I really didn't care, Brandon, if my first check was $1. I just needed the proof of concept. Because now proving my family that I'm not wasting my time. Like I went from, okay, yes, I grew up alone and whatnot, but my family was there. I would talk to them on the phone and whatnot, right? So for them, it's like, okay, you dropped out of school. You didn't finish school. I'm the kind of the black sheep of the family. And then you started all these businesses. So jumping from job to job, business to business, right? So you kind of like build yourself the reputation of, the guy that never finishes what he starts, which I deserve because I did that, right? So I just had to look at myself and go, okay, you know what? You got to take self-accountability. Nobody told you to quit your job in Belgium and come to the US and say you're going to drive Uber and Lyft. And why should they believe you? Because your whole life they're seeing you like go from stuff. So shut up and just prove them the concept.
Yeah.
Pure simple. Well, bro, and so that's what I decided to do.
And the thing is, like, real estate is just, it makes sense because I, like you, was also very entrepreneurial, young age, trying to sell candy in school, throwing parties. Right. I want to do stock market stuff, whatever, like you're cutting grass, leaves.
Yeah.
And, I had a few ideas like post college as well. And it was when I finally found, I reached out, my story was I got fired and I reached out to my buddy that had been learning from a mentor, wholesale mentor. And when I found it, I was like, this makes sense.
Yes.
This works. This is it. This is that, entrepreneur business. This is that startup that I can do that I know will make sense. And it just clicks. So when people find real estate, like that's why, most millionaires are, come up to real estate because it's a great business. You just got to do what works. So
it's a no-brainer.
It is. And so you do that first deal, you got some cash, you're starting to do some deals. When was that transition to you're now kind of focused on creative financing and subject to?
Well, remember I said 8 months for me to get that first deal? The reason being is because I had so many contracts within that 8 months that never closed. If I knew creative finance prior, I would have had my first deal within the first 60 days, I guarantee you. Because I had sellers that was motivated, wanted to sell, but the cash offer just couldn't work. And I didn't know anything else outside of, let me offer you 70% of ARV, which is, what we learn online, right? And so back then in Baltimore, when I reach out to these gurus to help me out, they would say, oh, stay away from that. It's a waste of time. Stay away from that. It's a waste of time. And so I'll just lock up all these deals. I'll market them. Nobody want to buy it. People even cuss me out on Facebook. Dude, go learn how to comp, right? You know the drill.
Yeah.
And so my transition from that first deal to creative finance was, again, another podcast. Dude, I was in my Uber listening to podcasts, Steve Trank's podcast, Real Estate Disruptors, I think it's called.
Yeah. Shout out
and
to
Pace
Steve.
was on there. Pace Morby was on there and he was talking about, obviously story and then creative finance. And he was talking about, hey, if you have leads that are dead, underwater, negative, blah, 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 we turn it into deals.
Yeah.
I said, hold on. Dude, I remember I was on the highway from Pennsylvania to Maryland. I parked on the emergency lane and restarted the whole podcast. I was like, I gotta hear this. And so as he was talking, I was like, shit. I was like, this is all the leads I've been talking to. This is my solution. Most of them, they didn't have the equity. Some of them were behind on their payments, but they really wanted to see the property go. I just didn't have the solution. What I decided to do, I said, you know what? I need to stalk this guy Pace. So I went on Facebook and found his free creative finance group. And then it just so happened that he was about to have a 16-hour live free.
Oh yeah. I remember that.
You remember that, right? That was
thing.
Yeah,
like,
bro.
Crazy man.
He's a crazy man. This is, his work ethic is beyond earth.
Yeah.
But
crazy. Right
there, what he did, Brandon, again, goes back to me not overthinking. Because when I found Pace, guess what? I stopped looking for anybody else about creative finance. Max Maxwell used to talk about it. I've never listened to Max Maxwell for creative finance.
Yeah.
So I'm always like, pick one mentor, because I get a lot of newbies right now that comes to me because I have mentees too. And they're stuck completely frozen because they listen to everybody, like 10 people. And they're like, but what do I do? This one, guys, pick one mentor. Anyway.
Yeah.
So I listened to Pace on that and he gave a 2-line, bro. 2-line. He said, hey, if you have leads in your pipeline right now that you knew they have motivation, you just didn't know the solution, the cash offer wasn't a good fit, I want you to go back to them and say, hey, I have a new strategy and a new partner and I think we can take over your mortgage. Brandon, he didn't have to say anything else. Again, I'm a school dropout, bro. Monkey see, monkey do. I dropped off the live. I didn't stay on the live. I wrote those 2 lines on my yellow book, dropped out, and I called this lady that I remember clearly because I had her locked up for 60 days at $78,000 and I couldn't dispose this deal to save my life. Everybody was offering me, this is in Baltimore City. The deal was in Baltimore City. Everybody was offering me $45,000. And I was like, oh shoot, this is the solution for, her name is Travona. I called her and I said, hey, I have the solution. I was so excited, bro. Again, in my Uber and Lyft. And she was like, what is the solution, right? I said, listen, I said the exact 2 lines Pace gave. And she was like, Mamadou, okay, so number one, I'm disappointed because it's been 60 days. And really, I thought you were my solution. But she liked me as a person. So she's like, I'm going to trust you through this because you've tried hard. I told her, listen, I'll help you even if I don't make any money on this deal. Because really, like, she was a single mom, just got divorced, 2 daughters, and she want to move to Idaho. Dude, all she wanted is $3,000 to move out.
Wow.
The reason she wanted 78 is because she owed 75. So she couldn't take less. So it made sense, but I didn't know that, right? Because she was holding a lot of information until we met in person.
Right.
And so when I told her that, she was like, okay, but how does this new thing work? I said, I have no freaking clue. She was like, what? I said, I have no clue. I said, but tomorrow I'll get my partner on the line who can explain it better on a 3-way, and he can explain the mechanics. And if everything makes sense for you, then let's go. I think this is the solution. She was like, boom. I did the same thing that I did on my first deal, Brandon. I went back on Facebook on the free creative finance and I typed. If you search me back in probably end of 2019, 2020, you will see me posting that first post. I said, guys, I have a hot lead right now. I need help. I don't know nothing about creative finance. Somebody jump on a call with me, right?
Yeah.
And, a guy from Sub 2, one of the leaders, which is funny because now I'm one of the leaders in Sub 2 and I do the same for people. But he reached out and he was like, hey, dude, I'll jump on a 3-way with you. I'll talk to the seller. Next day, we did it. He explained the concept of subject to, how she's protected, how the loan is going to have to stay on her name, but we're going to repair the credit because obviously every payment we make every month goes toward her, right? The loan stays on her name. Everything made sense and she will get the $3,000 to move out. But I was just listening on the 3-way. And also this is how I learned. I'm hands-on. This is like a hands-on mentorship without me paying anything, right? The only thing I'm paying is JV, and like we're going to split 50-50. For me, 50% of something is better than 100% of nothing, right?
Right.
And so that's what we did, bro. That was my first subject, which is my second deal, but that one was a subject to. We assigned it 2 days later. We made $19,000 signing that one.
Yeesh. Second deal. I got to give you another air horn for that. I mean, so to be able to do that back to back, not back to back, but your very second deal, you followed the same strategy and it worked for you, do the activity and then ask for help when you get to that point. There's a lot of info out there, but now you're at a place where, you're that guy, right? You're helping other students. You're able to do these deals and you're also raising capital. And I know you have a big, influence. You're a big personality. As soon as I met you, you were already doing content, with Jamil in the background. So, I know you're using your megaphone and social media to kind of help, with different opportunities. Talk about how you're using social media and or, how you're raising capital, if the two are the same or different.
Yeah. So it's funny because for me, I look at everything and I see the importance of impact. Because when I got that first check, it lasted 2 hours, the adrenaline, right? Of getting the first check. I remember I sat down in my car, made a video for my daughter saying, hey, daddy wasn't wasting his time. This is real, blah, 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 right?
That's dope.
And after that, I was like, okay, that's it. This was cute, but that's it, right? So it was like, okay, back to the grind for the next deal, back to the grind. Now, I personally didn't quit my job to create myself another high-paying job. So the wholesaling adrenaline was out of my system after the second deal, right? So, but I remembered that if it wasn't for YouTube, there's no way I would have found this in Belgium, right? Somebody had to be not selfish and had to be not thinking just about themselves to be out here shooting videos and telling people about this concept that it exists and sharing the information. And so for me, it was like, you know what? This is a no-brainer. Like I have to, maybe it's because of naturally, like I truly love, number one, I love teaching. I think I got that from my dad. My dad was a high-level teacher and he's taught me since I started talking, bro. Like I left my parents when I was 7, not my dad, because my mom passed away when I was turning 7. But my dad, I left him like right after my mom passed. But before 7, from the age of maybe 2 or 3, as soon as I started talking, my dad, he will teach us to read very hard books. Like, for example, I'm a Muslim, so he will teach us the Quran. But as a child, I have to read the hardest verses. Then I have to teach it to people that are older than me. And so from a young age, he instilled this passion for teaching. And my dad used to tell me, hey, in Islam, the best human being is the one who learns and teaches. Yeah. Right. And so I always had that concept. So for me, it was like, okay, number one, I want to impact people. I've always been passionate about that. Number two, somebody impacted me. That's the reason why I'm sitting here doing these deals. If this person haven't made this video and shared this information, I wouldn't be here. So it's like naturally for me, I want to share my story with other people because there's people out here that will relate to me and won't relate necessarily to you, Brandon. There's people that will relate to you that won't relate to me, right? So it's like, instead of thinking, oh man, there's all these people making all these videos, like, no, I got a story to tell. Let me tell people how I made it, how I came from. So for me, it was naturally dude, everywhere you go, just pull out the camera and talk about what you're doing. That's it. Right.
Yeah.
And that just, you know, I didn't know at the time, but it created this ripple effect of people relating to the story, number one, getting inspired, number two. Number three, now they want to work with you because they see you doing the business. People like to do business with people that are doing the business. So they see me working properties. Naturally, it's like, hey, I got this deal here or this lead, but I'm so afraid to call the seller back. I'm like, no problem. Hit me up. Here's my cell. I'll get on a 3-year with your seller and help you lock up the deal. That's how I started building my confidence because remember, my first 2 deals, people did this for me.
Right.
So I'm like, dude, I just get on the phone with you. If you want a JV, I'll close your seller on the phone so you can see how I do it. So next time you can do it yourself. Boom. I started creating JV opportunities and people, my first private money came through Instagram like that from a simple reel post. It was a $75,000 private money from one freaking post like that, you know? So yeah, that's how I see social media is impact. Like I want to impact billions of, I'm not even thinking national. I'm thinking international. Like right now, bro, I create videos in French because I speak 4 different languages. I create videos in Fulani, which is for my community, right? So yeah, I think to me, social media, when I think about social media is impact. That's how I see social media.
Very cool. Very cool. So what's next? I mean, I know you're just kind of speaking to that of, you know, having that international, impact. And, you know, like, is that where you want to take this? Do you want to just be, you know, helping, doing deals and helping others? Are you trying to, you know, get into multifamily? Have you thought about what your real estate goals are?
Absolutely.
And business goals in general?
Absolutely. So after my 3rd wholesale deal, you know, I've decided that for me, I'm a cash flow guy. I didn't quit my job to create a high paying job. So wholesaling is completely out of my system. The way my business work now is I want to wholesale 2 deals out of 5 max. And that's because of my team. If you leave it up to me, I'll keep everything. Right.
Right.
But the way things are going right now, I don't see myself as a real estate investor. I see myself as a serial entrepreneur. Real estate is just one thing I do. This year, I'm exploring buying businesses, you know, with creative finance. I'm exploring getting into multifamily because I started studying multifamily and I found out, shoot, the math is a no-brainer. It's like buying the business, bro. It's a no-brainer. So I'm getting into that. I'm helping actually some multifamily heavy hitters here in Atlanta how to negotiate using creative finance because they have no clue. And so they've been doing multifamily only cash. And so again, another factor, these people found me on social media. They're like, bro, I want to connect with you. I've been doing multifamily. I'm killing it out here in Atlanta, but I don't know nothing about creative finance. How about we share value, right? So boom, I'm getting into that. So I'm looking to buy businesses, multifamily, and right now I'm building my own community because again, I'm very passionate about teaching, but teaching things I do. I don't want to be a guru like people that teach stuff they don't do. That's just ethically doesn't sit right with me. But I'm building my community. I have mentees, and you know, I just want to keep providing value. And long-term goal, bro, I want to be on the biggest fucking stages on earth. You know?
Yeah, I love it. And before I let you go, I mean, we got to get into the lightning round, but, you know, give some advice just for the person that says, man, you know, I want to go out and do, you know, creative financing deals. You know, I know I can go get a mentor, but for the person that maybe is just struggling with that right now, what are some of your keys to success doing some of these creative financing deals?
Well, first and foremost, for me is everything start with decision. At some point, you have to decide. You gotta get rid of the excuses. I see a lot of newbies reach out on IG or even on some Zooms. I do a lot of Q&As and they have a bunch of excuses as to why. So for example, I'll give you an example. When I first got started, obviously I quit my job. And what I used to do is because I couldn't afford PropStream, Bashleaves, all those platforms. What I used to do, bro, is I would do the 7-day trial period on each of these platforms. And then I cut it on the 7th day. Right. But then one day I was in my car and I was like, shit, why isn't my brother supporting me and giving me like $1,000 marketing money? Then I was like, they don't owe you that shit, bro. Like you decided you're going to do this, go prove the concept. So then I decided, I was like, okay, hold on. How many Starbucks am I buying a day? How many Chipotle am I buying a day? How many times am I spending money? So I actually have the money for marketing. I'm just using the money for some dumb stuff. Right? Because like if I like, bro, it's so cheap. And right now you even have platforms that are actually free. So for me, first and foremost is decision. Number one, if you're going to do this business, I'll let you know right now is simple, but not easy. You're going to have to put in the work. There's 2 things you cannot have. You cannot be broke and have excuses and don't have time. Those three is a combination for death.
Right.
So it's either you broke and you have time, or you have time, or you don't have time and you have money. Okay, so Jesus is not going to come to earth and help you. It's not going to happen.
Right.
So first and foremost, get rid of your excuses. If you're working from Monday to Friday, Saturday and Sunday is not for party. It's being on the phones. If you're truly serious about this, it is what it is, right? You're going to have to sacrifice. So for me, the key to creative finance, bro, is number one, for me, anybody can argue with me on this, but for me, the fastest way to get your first wholesale deal is creative finance all day long. Because creative finance work on both good and bad markets. But the thing is, we work with KPIs, right? When I was doing cold calling, I remember 80% of sellers would never sell you their stuff at a discount. Never.
Right.
But if you can just offer them creative terms, they're just married to a number. People that own their properties free and clear, they will sell it to you on seller finance all day as long as they can get their number if they have motivation to let the asset go. So if I knew creative finance, I guarantee I would have gotten my first deal way faster because I can convert more sellers. For you to get a cash deal at 30 cents on the dollar, that seller have to be desperate, which is fine, which is what we're looking for. But how about the 80 others that tell you, no, I don't want your 70%. If I knew creative finance, I could offer them 100% or even 110% and just convert them into the bank or take over mortgages.
Right.
So for me, actually, creative finance is the fastest way to your first wholesale deal. Because the thing is, it's not about wholesaling or creative finance. You can wholesale creative finance deals.
Right. I know there's people that will say, hey, well, look, I don't have the experience to, share, some case studies and I haven't done it. But I think you kind of already talked about this. One of the script that you got from Pace. Hey, new strategy, new partner, we can take over your mortgage, right? So like just looping in a partner that can help you with this, but you have to ask a question, right? This
is where we talked about getting rid of your excuses. I'll tell you this, Brandon. Every single time I've had a wholesaler that struggled for a year and didn't get a deal, I guarantee you it goes back to their mindset. When I talk to them for 30 minutes, I'm like, dude, your mindset is fucked up. What you're thinking is, I need to figure everything out myself so I can keep 100% of the wholesale fee. But dude, it's been a year, you're keeping 100% of nothing.
Right.
That's the reason why because I don't know nothing about creative finance. Oh, me neither. I didn't know anything. Guess what I did? I went and found somebody that know about it and I gave them 50% of the wholesale fee. I don't have to know anything. Use these 2 lines because people love scripts. I'll give it to you right now. If you've been marketing and you have leads in your pipeline that either wanted a number and they just stuck to that number, but obviously it doesn't matter if you're doing creative finance or cash deals. Motivation is key. That's how we make money.
Right.
I don't waste time with unmotivated sellers. But if they're motivated and they just want a number, when I say motivated, meaning they don't want to keep the house, they don't want to rent it anymore, they don't want to list it, blah, 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 but they want to work with somebody. They're just like, hey, I'm not taking less than $300,000. 2 lines. Say, hey, I think I can give you your number if you're willing to give us terms. I have this new strategy where we'll be able to give you your full number. I have a new partner that will be able to explain this to you. Oh, okay. So how does the mechanics work? This is what you tell them. I have no clue.
Yeah.
It's funny because sellers will respect you more for being honest than trying to finesse things you don't know.
Yeah.
Here's what you do then. You reach out to somebody like me. There's so many people out here, bro, now that, especially with the sub 2, because honestly, like one thing I need to give Pace shout out on is he built leaders. He built leaders, bro. And he built that go-giver mentality.
Right.
If you reach out to me with value, I will get on the phone with your seller.
Right.
If your DM is, hey, Mamadou, how can I pick your brain? I'm not even responding to you. If your DM is, hey, Mamadou, I have a motivated seller right now, ready to go. They're open to talking about terms. I just don't know how to explain it. Easy.
Yeah.
Tell them I'm your partner. Tell them somebody else, whoever you relate to. It doesn't have to be me. I'm just giving an example. Dude, my acquisition team will get on the phone, close the seller for you, lock it up, you learn hands-on, and you share the profits.
Yeah.
I promise you, Brandon, if you do a poll, you will find out that 99.9% of wholesalers that are stuck and not getting a deal is because they don't want to share. They don't want a JV. And this is why they're stuck.
Big facts. Big facts. Man, I love it. Look, and tons of gold in here, but I cannot let you go without putting you through the lightning round. Are you ready for that?
Let's go.
Well, look, so I got a series of rapid fire questions for you. You don't know the question. I don't know your answer. So just say the very first thing that comes to your mind. What's one book or piece of content that's been instrumental to your growth as a real estate investor?
The Go Giver book.
Love it. Love it. Love it. If you could have drinks or coffee with any one person, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Tupac. Yeah, because that guy is he talks to my soul. He helped me. His music helped me, stay strong at the refugee camp when I was growing up alone. He taught me English. Like his lyrics taught me English. So if he's a dead person, Tupac. If he's a live person, 50 Cent.
Oh, love it. Good stuff. Yeah. What's your best advice? And you've kind of already given it. I was going to say your best advice for someone looking to do their very first creative finance deal. Do you have anything different to say? How would you answer that?
Yes, I do. In 2023, guys, easy. We're getting properties left and right, even here in Atlanta, from properties listed on the MLS for 90 days and over, not selling with realtors. We're getting those. Like, if I'm starting today and I want to get my first deal the fastest, I'm calling real estate agents, 90-day plus listing and expired listings. And just call people that know how to lock it up, bro, and they'll help you lock it up.
There you go. Good stuff. What's one mistake on a deal or business in general that if you could do it over, you would take that do-over?
Oh, damn. Is a pre-foreclosure lead that I had, and we had to spend some money up front to stop the auction. And we did it without, we haven't rent title yet and anything like that. And then we ended up finding that the husband actually forged the ex-wife's signature. To sign the contract. So it was a shit show. So not jumping too fast into those type of, because now I have about maybe 10 grand locked in that I don't know. But again, in the investing thing, one thing that I made peace with is you cannot always get home runs, and you will lose money, guarantee. So if you're not risk tolerant, please don't even start real estate. I'm telling you right now, don't even start. Don't waste your time. Keep your 9 to 5 and, watch Netflix.
There you go. What's your financial goal for your real estate investing business for this calendar year?
For this calendar year, I'm looking for us to do over 6 figures in cash flow because we're focused on highly cash flow. We want to build a pad split portfolio. We just discovered that strategy recently. I don't know if you're familiar with pad split.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Great company, helps people, set up rooming houses.
Exactly. So we just tap into that. We've been doing a lot of Airbnbs, but Airbnbs is starting to become a shit show right now. But mainly cash flow. We're focused on a minimum of 6 figures this year for cash flow. Cash flow and properties.
Good stuff. If you woke up tomorrow with $500 million deposited into your account overnight, what's the first thing that you would go out and purchase with that newfound money?
Then bro, a watch. I'm a watch addict. I'll probably buy me a ridiculous watch.
Yeah.
And then right after that, I'll probably go build the orphanage.
There you go. Good stuff. Yeah. I love it. Last one. What is the advice that you would give to the person listening right now that's looking to scale their real estate investing business?
I would say you better become a master at delegating. Stop doing everything yourself. Start delegating. Stop being scared to hire people because you want to keep all the profits yourself. That's why you're not scaling. And that's it, man. Build a good culture so that when people come, they don't want to leave. People cannot just watch you build your wealth and they're not building theirs. So you have to help your team build theirs alongside with you and become a leader, man. Your team have to be inspired by you. If you're a lazy person, your team will know. And so be a leader, period.
Good stuff. Man, this has been an incredible episode, bro. And you've given us so much advice, amazing story. Super proud of everything that you've built, but literally just giving us exactly what to say to homeowners to set up these sub-2 situations or these creative financing deals using your community. And then also the power of social media, focusing on one mentor, a bunch of amazing information. I know you have some place for folks to go and follow back that you're sharing. Where do you want folks to reach you at?
Yeah, so I'm very active on all platforms, but Instagram mainly. If you DM me, I respond to all my DMs on Instagram. So at Real Estate Diallo. Maybe I can send it to you. You can put it in the descriptions below.
It'll be in the show notes.
So at Real Estate and then my last name, Diallo, Diallo. If you connect with me there, guys, I literally have free scripts, free calculators, whatever. Be more than happy to have my admin assistant send that over to you. And you can also go on my YouTube channel. Sometimes we put it on the description below.
Love it. Good stuff. And, bro, this is an amazing. I appreciate it. Folks, I want to remind you, as always, head over to sendmoreoffers.com. There's nothing for sale there, just a bunch of great information, show notes from these amazing guests that we have on the show. And then if you're here in Atlanta and you want to connect, sendmoreoffers.com is the best way to get in contact with me at any given time. Mamadou, this has been great, man. I want to continue to see you grow and grind.
Man. Absolutely,
yeah, man.
Absolutely. I just touched down Atlanta, guys. I just moved here, so connect with me. I want to do more deals with people locally. I'm super fired up. On June 6th, I'll be speaking on stage on one of the real estate events here in Atlanta, all about creative fans. Make sure you pull up. Yes, and Brandon, I look forward to connect with you, man. Let's do some deals. Yeah, and I'll have you on my podcast too, bro. I really appreciate you. I've been watching you and all these guys like forever. It was so real to me when I saw you at the event. Oh, Brandon. I just didn't scream because I didn't want to sound like a female. So I really appreciate you having me here, bro. I look forward to being an example like you guys were to me. Definitely.
Exactly, man. One of the fastest growing stars out here, man. I'm super proud of you, bro. Guys, as always, look, send more offers, do more deals. Until next time, peace.
Thanks, guys.
That's all for this episode of the Send More Offers Real Estate Show with Brandon Barnes. But we know you're craving more knowledge to get yourself ready for that next deal. To schedule a call with Brandon to learn more about how to do deals consistently without seller appointments in a repeatable way, be sure to visit us at sendmoreoffers.com. And be sure to tune in for the next episode of the Send More Offers Real Estate Show.